All right, this is Chef Server Triage um, on the 18th of December. We have a new issue.
All right. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, there's okay. Interesting. Oh boy. Interesting. Okay. Um hmm. I don't see a good I mean the last question is there a workaround? And offhand I'm not sure there is one. I'd have to see how we plumbed the proxy set header config through to be sure. Okay. So we're using HTTP host for that variable. Okay. I mean, I think for me, the questions on this, I mean, this looks like a. I don't see an easy workaround for them,
Unless we fix it.
unless we fix it. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Without us doing a release, I don't see there's huge amounts of hope. Easy things to do, just because HTTP host. I mean, it might not be a big change on our part, but definitely it's going to require a change, just simply because we just may not allow that variable to be configured. I'd like to, before being sure about that, I probably need to read a bit more of the.
Is this because the host value is not populating correctly?
I don't know. I mean that's a. You mean you're thinking about that?
API FQDN not being respected.
Maybe, but I guess their situation is they're forwarding. Okay, so what are they really doing here? So they're not going to get the API, but this is they want the header to be for this to be automate, not the chef server.
Not Chef Server, yeah.
And the FQDN is really about
Where the Chef Server is running. Okay, never mind then.
I mean that's my reading of it at least. I'm just looking just a little bit further at the where we're rendering the Nginx stuff. I just wanted to see where host header is being done.
Yep.
Just to understand a little bit more what's going on in the background of this.
You looking at the Nginx recipe?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Nginx recipe, and so Chef API. So we're rendering Nginx Chef API lbconf, and here we go. So okay, where's this is coming? Yeah, I just wanted to see. Okay, there's this lbconf thing, which is what's being passed into
lbconf.merge.
yeah 234.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only place HTTP host is being used in the herb is I think it's only being used at line 69.
The proxy set header.
That proxy set header.
Yeah.
Now they needed another place for data collector. So it okay. So this is gonna there's no workaround to fix it because they need the proxy set header for the data collector on a little bit further down. It's not just simply. I think there's some looking at seeing what HTTP host could be repurposed for. If we if HTTP host could be set, that would do half the problem. All right. So in terms of triage, I think that's a real. I think somewhere between a bug and a feature request. I think the feature request is, do we want to support this config? And my guess is I guess this is a feature request, and we probably should figure out how to prioritize it.
I was looking at the lbconf things that come in. Those are the private chef Nginx attributes. I don't see a host there. There is a server name. But that is where.
This isn't an herb variable. This is just, you're right. This is an Nginx variable.
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong context. You're right. Of course, you're right. So yeah, this is going to be a feature. There's no real workaround because there just is going to be stomped. I mean, the best they could do is edit the herb file in their installed thing so they could at least reconfigure.
Yeah. In the cache, basically, just overwrite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even further, not in the cache, but even further upstream, I think.
Oh, okay.
In the ops code.
In the opt code, yeah. Okay.
So they could the easy that would be the that would be the closest thing to a workaround that at least let them reconfigure again. But other than that, I think this is a feature request.
Yeah.
I think there's also a I mean, we got to figure out where the priority is with this feature request. I think there is a question is if we have support, or field engineering helping people set up this way, this might need to be expedited a little bit. I mean, if I think we need to make sure that we have everybody on the same page, because if this is just someone who's setting up Chef Server and Automate on their own, it's one thing. But if our field people are having people set things up this way, well, we need to make sure everybody is part of that, right?
Yeah.
and maybe that either is a feature we need to expedite, or you know, get someone in the support team to help us work out a short-term fix, or I don't know.
Right.
I guess the way I would phrase this is this is a feature, this is a new feature. So this is a new feature. There is not at this point a workaround for this other than editing their the herb file. Yeah, so thank them. Yeah.
Well, to fix the issue, being said, I can quickly look it up. Um, how do I say that this is a feature request that we will try to get prioritized?
Here's I think there's a I think in terms of triage, do you think this is something that we're going to want to put on the roadmap just from what you're seeing here?
I'm thinking it might be useful, right? Is especially if we are telling everybody to move on to automate for Chef Server.
Yeah, well, this has a separate. Well, this is different because this is a separate automate, right? I mean, there's automate is sitting behind a reverse proxy.
Reverse proxy, yeah.
So I think we need to like figure out if this is going to be a supported configuration. And if it is,
that's a good point.
If it is, then this needs to be done as a feature. And if it's not going to be a supported supported configuration, we should at least need to have a conversation about this. I mean, it'd be nice if we can either say accept this, yes, we're going to take it on, reject it, say we're no, or maybe say, well, it's not in our current near-term plans to fix this. A pull request would be welcome if you have, or feel free to escalate it through your, if you're a chef customer, feel free to escalate this through support would be a nice way of, this is from something I'm pulling from Habitat, is that's a nice way of like trying to keep these, otherwise these issues pile up, right?
Right.
And I don't know if we want to reject this. I feel like this really is a help wanted, please escalate through AHA or your support people.
Yeah.
If that
Um,
may,
so how
and
do I put this?
I'm looking for words
Yeah.
because
I
the
d-
OSS practices has words.
let's see. Maybe we can pull something up from there.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for right now.
Okay, great. I can label it till then.
Um, um, is it correctness?
Correctness.
Integration, maybe?
You. Yeah, it's actually better than correctness. You're right.
I mean, I guess the real question is really specify the process to work.
To be prioritized.
Help wanted, maybe. Well, I don't know how we're using help wanted in this context.
Well, I guess it usually means that a contributor needs to do something to get the pull request ahead. And
Mm-hmm.
this is mostly like
Okay.
we're not sure we are going to be able to give it a very high priority immediately. But if
Yeah.
you have some free cycles, we would
I feel like
appreciate.
help wanted is appropriate for this one. I don't
Yeah,
know what I feel like you folks have a pretty full plate.
yeah,
So, and it might also require some, Terraform stuff to build up a configuration to actually test. And
yeah. We have not reproduced this, but it seems like an issue. Like I don't know. I feel like saying triage confirmed here, but
I
we have
feel
not tested it.
we've not tested it, but I don't know. This is a very clear.
Yeah, very comprehensive report and
Yeah,
seems like a clear
I,
issue.
I, I some things are head scratchers, and you go, how did I get there? But this person has written it up really clearly and nicely, and I,
Yes.
you know, feel like giving the benefit of the doubt on this one is absolutely appropriate. Um, I feel like we should say this is not on our near. I feel like you probably. This is me putting words in your mouth, but if it's not on the next you know 30 days or 6 weeks roadmap,
Yeah, it does. It won't be.
it won't be.
Yeah.
Uh, I think a clear statement of, uh, hey, a pull request is welcome, or if obviously if you're a chef customer, feel free to escalate through your support channel. I might start a new paragraph just for.
Yeah, makes sense. I could have just anyway. It's okay.
So I would start with saying it's we welcome a pull request. Might prefix it with, this is not. We don't think we're going to get to fixing this near term.
Uh, I also want to say, like, put a note to say we need to figure out if this is a supported configuration or not.
Yeah. And I say I do think we should um I think there is worth worth encouraging them to I guess yeah, I think so. Go with what you're saying here. We need to figure out if this should be a supported configuration for Chef Server and
Yeah.
automate. Feel free to file an AHA. Feature request or escalate this. Yeah, and if you are a chef customer, escalate it through support.
With support.
Yeah, and then I think that's a great response. You know, I I think in this, and if you don't hear much about this, I would say in 30, 60, 90 days, whatever you decide, we can go through and come back and close these.
Yeah.
Because if they don't think it's enough, I mean, if we can't take it on, they aren't in a position to either escalate it or write it themselves. I think
Yeah.
I think we need to just close it so that it doesn't drag you down
Yeah.
with things.
Yep.
Cool.
And then if we were to pick up where we were, I think we were on page 4 of the issues. We had these two.
Okay. Let's see, 942.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is issue number 942.
Okay, so this is like a oh, I think we should close this.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I meant to open it on a new tab, not a new window. Yeah, it's like you've already And we've closed this. Yeah, maybe I will just close this with uh, it was perhaps happening on older version of Chef, but it has not been seen for more than 2 years now and has not been
Yes.
reported on the newer versions of Chef. So,
Yeah.
okay. uh, no, I think just closing this for now should be sufficient.
Yep.
Great. All right. And 927 wildcard certificate for Chef 12.x. I really don't want to have to use self-signed certs.
Okay. So this is a bug. Huh. Which one are you looking at now?
Oh, sorry, there was a link at the bottom of that
Oh,
issue. So I thought I'll just go and look at what the reference was. But that one seems to be not reproducible, so they closed it. Oh, chefserver.rb options do not work for wildcard.
yeah. Basic. His last comment there.
Yeah. So by wildcard, was that a type? Is that a type of certificate, or was he just trying to do a star to match?
It's a type of certificate.
Okay.
And honestly, don't know. I'm not sure what to think about. You know how to fix it. It's. I mean, I guess the one way to construct it, this is a feature request. Make Chef server work with wildcard certificates. Is it a feature request, or did we always kind of say this should work?
That this works. So there are some links. Let's see, server security. Maybe that tells us something. The section details the process of updating the chef server's SSL certificate. We didn't talk about wildcard certificates, but we don't talk about it. It's not to say we do or don't support it.
Yeah, so just to, you know, the wildcard certificate would be for everything at chef.io, like every host. So, if you had hosts foo.chef.io and bar.chef.io, a wildcard certificate would be something that would work for both. So naively speaking, I would say this feels a little bit like a bug.
Yeah, I was gonna just no, put it as a feature request.
I don't know. I go back and forth. I mean, you could just as well say we don't currently support wildcard certs. We should, consider it a feature. Also, this is
2016.
Yeah.
I'll go with feature request for now, perhaps, because then bug would lead to the illusion that something was working at some point, or expected to
Well,
work at some time.
expected to work. Yeah. Um,
Help wanted to be prioritized.
yeah.
Yeah, I see why you think of this as a bug. It's not an enhancement, really.
Yeah.
Well, does this read as a feature request to solve a bug? Does that make sense? Or should I get rid of this one?
Um, I mean, the user's expectation is a wildcard certificate should work like any other wildcard.
Yeah.
And um,
Better? What can I put certs under?
all right, I think that other is probably going to. This is we. There's this component of the omnibus installer that I think I would say 2/3 of our others, at least going by memory, fall under an omnibus installer.
Should we
Excuse me.
create a component omnibus install?
I think at this point, I bet you if you went back and look at everything that was under component other, um,
Mm-hmm.
you would get a lot of omnibus install. That's just my guess.
Should I create a component then?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. You yeah, there's enough. There's enough to create a component for yeah, does this look
Yeah.
so
And a new label is born. Okay. Moving on. We are on 857. Chef server Nginx does not implement HSDS.
what about the one right before 898? Is there will you have
I think we have already looked at it.
have we? Okay. Looks like it.
So I think what happened was the first couple of times when I was still new to labels, some of these, like we were filtering on triaged ones, but some of these already had new style labels applied when Tim went through and standardized the labels. So it had a good first issue label on it instead of an untriaged,
Hmm.
but it was something that we never looked. So it never showed up in our filter, which is why we are sort of picking up some things from the middle. But I think once we finish 857, then
Okay.
there are only a couple in between. But then we'll be pretty sorted. So moving on.
I mean, this is a feature request. This feels like a
Yep,
feature request that you want.
yep. This might be a good first issue.
Yeah, it's a good first issue. It's also probably something um,
To be considered for the next release. And by next,
yeah,
I mean next to next.
or put in the sustaining backlog. Actually, is the other one. I think this is
Honestly, I don't know if that field ever gets looked at, but it's okay. We can put it there and then someday it'll bubble up.
enhancement.
I think there is something for Nginx, isn't there? Or it might just be, no,
Really falls into. I mean, it's an omnibus and omnibus, maybe not omnibus installer, but
not an
omnibus
installer.
package. Omnibus
Yeah,
packaging is the label I might have chosen. Now that I think about it,
I can edit it. So I'll pick
yeah.
this and then edit labels. There we go. Installer would have been much more specific, and then someone fit into that. It's okay if I don't put a comment on this right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we got through this.
This is a doozy. Um, it's a good one though.
It
Um,
is. I was looking through this, and like it's something that I was talking to Steven, and it's something that you want to pick up and work on and fix, but
yeah.
it's not so easy.
Well, I think there's an interesting thing here is that it does synergize with some of the like the some of this stuff is easier now because they're back end secondary. We've gotten rid of
Yeah.
the old HA, so it's that
Oh,
that
yeah.
that actually simplifies things enormously.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the one thing, the take home that I take out of this is um, there are things that can be done more or less idempotently and can happen from any front end node. And then there are non idempotent things that actually have to be controlled how they were done.
Right.
And I think if I was going to abstract a good issue task out of here is to like go through our bootstrapping process and split out those two categories of things. And that might actually be a good near term issue because you're going to, I have this feeling with the Elasticsearch stuff and some of the other stuff that's in flight.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this bootstrapping work is going to you're going to have to touch this code. And maybe you've already made it all work and you don't, but if,
Yeah.
I don't know where Elasticsearch is and all that, but it feels like if you're going to have to work on this code anyhow, as part of that effort, you might be happier simplifying the code and then doing your work. A thought.
Let's see. Should I just make a note here saying as a first to do coming out of this is to identify the idempotent and non-idempotent tasks.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to step back one step. I feel like, it sounds like you've talked to SSD. I mean, this is something that I know I've talked to him about this in the past. Do you feel like this is something reasonable to be like trying to do?
It is. It is indeed a good to have it, at least to like look at the code, look at the latest code that we have, and see how much of this process matches,
Mm-hmm.
and try to get that in order. Because like it, you're right. There are a lot of issues that we have seen which are around the bootstrap process. So getting that in order will help us eliminate a lot of other issues that we are seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but whether that is something we'll be able to take up before the next release, I am highly doubtful about.
Okay, fair. Um, I guess part of what I'm thinking about here is in terms of the more general thing is I'm curious what the Automate Chef server stuff does in this context. But anyways, I get your point though is true. It's like, well, would you be able to find time to do this by the next release? You guys have a lot of work.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I guess how would you triage this for now?
Oh, let's see.
It's attribute packaging, but also probably should be done.
Yeah, you're talking the aspect.
Aspect, sorry.
This just might be like a chore and a tech debt combined
Yeah.
into one.
Yeah. Certainly tech debt.
Yeah.
Chore, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about like thinking of it as a chore because just because it's something we should do, but not, yeah, not by the definition of how we use it here, maybe not.
Yeah.
Bootstrap would not be, would it be a part of omnibus packaging now? No, it wouldn't be. It's the process.
It is integral to the omnibus packaging
Yeah,
or the
it's the
omnibus.
closest to that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it might be good to just, put the points that we discussed on this. Does this look okay?
Yeah. Auto. Yeah.
Oh,
Sounds good.
cool. We are at about the hour mark.
Yeah. Do you want to take the very next one I wanted to look at, just because I've been reading it a little bit already? And
Oh,
this is
sure.
825.
Fail to migrate at level 28. Data Nginx cannot be stopped.
Basically, I think we should close this as a duplicate of 1124.
No,
That's
I
why I
see what.
wanted to do.
No,
That's
I
why.
now I see the motivation.
It's linked to at the bottom there.
Oh, it's already linked. All right.
Basically, it's the 1124 is we need to restart. Is this one where I'm pretty sure that this is having to do with some of the between the Reddit issues and the need to force restart Bifrost in a proper place. I think this one looks basically I think we're gonna fix if we fix 1124, which looks like you already have taken on for next release.
We have.
I thought you let's see 1124.
Yeah, it's a consider for next release.
Consider for next release.
Yes.
I would consider. I feel like this if it's I understand it correctly, it's a one-liner. It can't hurt anything, and it would probably be good. So I would encourage you to consider that 1124.
Do I need to say please feel free to reopen?
Yeah.
If not.
If it appears to be a separate issue.
Uh-oh. Okay, never mind. $251. If we could just come to $250. Okay. That makes me so happy.
What?
We are at 250 issues.
Oh, that's a nice milestone.